On the eve of my marriage to the Crown Prince, my father brought home a daughter born to his mistress. That sister of yours is a stunning beauty, far lovelier than you. With her accompanying you to the Crown Prince's mansion, she will surely help you secure his favor. I almost laughed out loud. After all, I was the woman who had killed her mother. How could she possibly help me win the prince's affection? Sure enough, on my wedding day, she stood beside me dressed in an elegant plain white gown. Stealing the spotlight from everyone present, everyone except my husband, the Crown Prince, the mistress my father doted on like the apple of his eye was my mother's illegitimate half-sister, Li Qiulian. Every day, she would come to the mansion, putting on a show of sisterly love with my mother, while secretly carrying on an affair with my father behind her back. When my mother was 8 months pregnant with her second child, the imperial physician diagnosed that the baby would definitely be a boy. It was then that Li Qiulian deliberately confessed to my mother through tears during her labor pains. Not only was she my father's mistress, but she had also given birth to a daughter for him 8 years prior. 8 years ago was the second year of my parents' marriage. The charade of marital bliss turned out to be nothing but a lie. The so-called sisterly bond was nothing more than a joke. Overwhelmed with rage, my mother drew her last breath, leaving behind only me and my newborn baby brother. I was 8 years old that year, and I grew up overnight. I followed the nanny to learn how to handle my mother's funeral arrangements, never leaving my infant brother's side to care for and comfort him. Meanwhile, my father was at his private villa, celebrating the Mid-Autumn Festival happily with Li Qiulian and her 2 children. On the 7th day after my mother's passing, the traditional day to honor the deceased spirit, I dragged my weak, ailing body to the private villa where my father had settled Li Qiulian. All alone, as usual, she spoke to me with feigned kindness. "Yua, in a few days your father will take me back to the main mansion to be his legal wife. From now on, you should call me mother." The fake warmth in her voice could not conceal the triumphant glint in her eyes. She stroked my cheek, then called over her daughter Wei Zhu and son Wei Yin. "Come here quickly, and meet your elder sister." Wei Zhu and Wei Yin called me elder sister with mixed expressions. Li Qiulian teased me with a smirk. "Since this is Yua's first time meeting her younger siblings, you surely didn't bring any gifts. Remember to make it up to them once we're at the main mansion. Even though you no longer have a mother to teach you proper manners, you still need to be sensible." I smiled faintly, running my fingers over the cold blade hidden in my sleeve, and said to Li Qiulian, "Auntie, come closer. I have a white jade hairpin for you." Unsuspecting, she bent down, the corners of her eyes and mouth curved up in smug satisfaction. But the next second, her smile froze completely. Her eyes widened in horror as she clutched the gushing wound on her neck, her mouth opening and closing in disbelief. Yet no sound came out. She collapsed to the ground, convulsing violently, splattering dust everywhere, her bloodshot eyes staring at me fiercely until her last breath. Wei Zhu and Wei Yin let out shrill screams of terror. I calmly wiped the blood off the blade, a smile playing on my lips. "Do accept this meeting gift from your elder sister with my compliments." Wei Zhu wailed uncontrollably, yet dared not rush at me, intimidated by the knife in my hand. Father will never let you get away with this. He will make you pay for my mother's life with yours." "No, he won't." If word got out that I had killed my father's mistress, his official career would be ruined forever. Even for his own sake, he would do everything in his power to cover up this mess for me. Wei Zhu had no idea what a calculating, self-serving man her father truly was, but I knew him all too well. My father suppressed the incident at the villa, hastily arranging Li Qiulian's funeral with minimal ceremony. He stormed at me with a knife in his hand, his eyes blazing with fury. "How could you be so vicious at such a young age? You deserve to die." My baby brother cried incessantly. Thanks to the nanny who had followed my instructions and fetched my grandmother in time, I narrowly escaped death, but I was not spared from punishment. He secretly poisoned my food and drinks. Within a month, the poison would drive me completely insane. He hated me for killing the woman he loved, and I hated him for betraying the woman who had loved him with all her heart, my mother. She was my mother, who had risked her life to give birth to me, who had loved me, cherished me, and cared for me every single day for 8 years. I hated my father with every fiber of my being, and he hated me just as fiercely. Father and daughter, we had become mortal enemies. In the depths of winter, I threw myself into the frozen lake. Against all odds, I survived the near-death experience, fighting tooth and nail to claw back a glimmer of hope for myself. My aunt seized this opportunity to march into our mansion with her people, taking me and my young brother away with her. Before I left, I told my father coldly, "If you dare take Wei Zhu and Wei Yan into the Wei mansion to raise them, I will go straight to the government office to beat the drum of injustice. I will tell the entire world how you cheated on your wife with her own illegitimate half-sister, driving her to her death and abandoning your own children. I will also confess everything about how I killed that woman. My death would be trivial compared to the ruin that would befall the entire Wei clan. Your sons would have their official careers destroyed, and your daughters would never be able to marry into good families ever again. Father, as long as I am alive, you will never be allowed to bring them into the Wei family." Overwhelmed with rage and frustration, my father slapped me hard across the face, then grabbed me by the neck, squeezing tightly. How could I have fathered such a rebellious, unfilial monster like you? How dare you threaten me? I stared at him and smiled, making no attempt to struggle. Slowly, beads of cold sweat broke out on his forehead, and he released his grip on me involuntarily. He muttered under his breath, a deep-seated fear flickering in his eyes, "You're crazy. You're a complete lunatic." I smiled back coldly. "I am not crazy. You, however, are a coward. Father, I dared to risk my life openly to avenge my mother. But you don't even have the courage to seek justice for the woman you claim to love. You are nothing compared to me." With my aunt present as a witness, all the dowry my mother had brought into the Wei family was carefully inventoried and taken away with me. My grandmother was displeased, yet she could not say a word of protest. She tried to stop my brother from leaving with me. But that very night, my brother broke out in a terrible rash all over his body and developed a high fever that would not break. My aunt kicked up a huge fuss, so furious that she fainted on the spot. My father held his head in his hands and waved me away in exasperation. "Take him, take them all and get out of here. I have more than one son anyway. Get out, all of you, get out of my sight." My aunt gave me the courtyard where my mother had lived when she was still in her maiden home. I moved in there with my brother and our nanny. As repayment to my aunt for her kindness, I agreed to take my cousin's place and enter the palace to serve as a companion to Princess Ningxiao. Princess Ningxiao was by nature arrogant and domineering, notoriously difficult to get along with. The companions who had been sent to the palace to serve her before me all returned home in tears, having been tormented to the brink of collapse. This time, the task fell to my maternal family. My aunt could not bear to let her own daughter suffer such abuse, and I was more than willing to leave the Wei mansion behind. We struck a deal in perfect harmony. On my very first day in the palace, I was punished to kneel for hours on end. The absurd reason: my hairstyle was not pretty enough to her liking. I smiled and thanked her for the punishment. The next day, I was tied up and hung from a tree branch. Again, I smiled and expressed my gratitude for her lesson. I fainted from exhaustion and pain, and it was the Crown Prince who saved me. When I woke up, I saw the Crown Prince reprimanding Princess Ningxiao severely. Enduring the weakness and agony racking my body, I struggled to my knees and kowtowed to him. "It was my fault for dropping the teacup and offending your highness. That is why Her Royal Highness punished me." The Crown Prince's voice trailed off mid-rebuke. Princess Ningxiao bit her lip. shooting me a complicated look. The Crown Prince took a deep breath, then tapped Princess Ningxiao lightly on the head. She is not a maid in your palace, she is your companion, the daughter of a court official. Her mother was the daughter of the Marquis of Pingyuan, and her father holds the position of left palace attendant. How dare you treat her with such disrespect? Princess Ningxiao snorted disdainfully. She is merely the daughter of a fourth-rank official. So what if I had her beaten to death? What would happen to me? Ningxiao, the Crown Prince's tone softened, as if reluctant to scold her too harshly, and he lowered his voice. Her mother just passed away. Be kinder to her. She is like you, she has lost her mother too. You of all people should understand the sorrow in her heart. Only then did Princess Ningxiao fall silent, her gaze softening a little as she looked at me. The Crown Prince reached out to help me up, giving me a gentle smile. There, that's enough. Go rest now, you are far too weak. I have asked the imperial physician to prepare a tonic for you. Ningxiao is just a little spoiled and willful, but her heart is not evil. Do not hold a grudge against her. Her Royal Highness has been very kind to me, I replied respectfully. From that day on, perhaps because Princess Ningxiao realized that I was like her, motherless, she treated me much better. She no longer punished me arbitrarily for trivial reasons. Every day, I followed her to the Imperial Academy for lessons. The Emperor doted on Princess Ningxiao immensely, granting her the rare honor of studying alongside all the imperial princes. As her attendant, I was able to listen in on their classes, learning the art of governing subordinates, studying the principles of being a ruler, and absorbing the wisdom of 100 schools of thought. Princess Ningxiao had no interest in any of these lessons, so I ended up writing all her essays and assignments for her. She loved being in the spotlight and craved empty fame and praise. My writing earned her high compliments from the Grand Tutor. When it came to my own essays, however, I deliberately toned down my writing style, hiding my true talent and making my work appear mediocre and unremarkable. I did not blindly submit to her every whim. I catered to her in trivial matters, but when it came to important issues, I would risk my life to stand my ground and dissuade her from making foolish decisions. She would fly into a rage at the time, yelling and even hitting me, but later, when she suffered the consequences of her mistakes and lost face, she would remember my good intentions and be grateful for my advice. As time went by, she found herself growing increasingly dependent on me. On the Empress Dowager's birthday banquet, Princess Ningxiao got into a fierce argument with the 7th princess, the daughter of the current empress, and was pushed into the imperial gardens pond by her. The 7th princess shouted arrogantly, "No one is allowed to save her. Do you still think your mother is the empress? Your mother is dead. My mother is the empress now. How dare you act so recklessly and arrogant in front of me? I dare anyone to go near her. Whoever does will be beaten to death." The eunuchs and maids present were all too terrified to move, daring only to sneak off to fetch the crown prince and the emperor. By the time they arrived with help, Princess Ningxiao would have already drowned and turned into a corpse. Watching Princess Ningxiao struggling desperately in the water, flailing her arms and legs helplessly, I knew that my chance had finally come. I jumped into the pond without hesitation. Saving Princess Ningxiao was far from easy. She did not know how to swim. When I tried to pull her up, she clung to me like a drowning cat, pushing me down with all her weight in a desperate bid to stay afloat. I choked on several mouthfuls of water, nearly drowning myself in the process. When the emperor and the crown prince arrived at last, the sight that greeted them was me, soaked to the bone and covered in mud, struggling to lift Ningxiao out of the water with all my strength. The crown prince's face turned as white as a sheet. He was always gentle and mild-mannered, but this was the first time I had seen him look at someone with such a cold, murderous glare. The 7th princess stepped back in fear, but then straightened her back, remembering that her mother was now the empress of the entire empire. The crown prince took Ningxiao from my arms, then reached out a hand to pull me up, but I deliberately let my body go limp, falling back into the water and hitting my arm hard against a sharp rock, snapping my bone with a sickening crack. Without a moment's hesitation, he jumped into the pond and pulled me out of the water himself. The emperor interrogated the palace servants present. A young eunuch trembled as he spoke the truth. "It is not that we servants dared not save her royal highness, your majesty. It is that the seventh princess forbade us from doing so. We did not dare to disobey her orders." The crown prince's face was grim with anger. He strode over to the seventh princess and slapped her hard across the face. His voice cold and unforgiving. "Father Emperor, Mother Empress has already passed away. If it were not for Miss Wei, who ignored the seventh princess's threats and jumped into the water to save Ningxiao, our sister would be joining Mother Empress in the underworld right now." The emperor looked filled with guilt and remorse. He punished the seventh princess with a year of confinement in her palace, after the imperial physician had set my broken arm. The crown prince dismissed all the maids attending to me, then personally brought me a bowl of medicinal tonic and fed it to me himself. He gently blew on the tonic to cool it down, his voice soft with concern. "Miss Wei, thank you for what you did today. You saved Ningxiao's life. Father Emperor will surely reward your family generously for your bravery." I looked at him and said earnestly, "If your Royal Highness truly wishes to reward me, could you please bestow the reward upon my young brother instead?" Under his stunned gaze, I said with a bitter smile, my voice choked with tears, "I will not hide the truth from your Royal Highness. My father has an illegitimate son and daughter with his mistress. After my mother passed away, my younger brother and I were taken in by my aunt and now live in the Marquis of Pingyuan's mansion. Although my aunt is kind to us, my brother is still so young. I worry about him day and night. Your Highness," as I finished speaking, tears streamed down my face like strings of pearls. "My younger brother and I are the only family each other has left in this world. I cannot stop worrying about him. If I truly deserve a reward, I beg your majesty to bestow it upon my brother instead. It would help my uncle and aunt value him more." The crown prince looked at me with a complicated expression. He set down the medicine bowl, handed me a handkerchief, and his eyes reddened slightly. He was only 14 years old now. When the late empress passed away, he had been just 8. He had raised the naive Ningxiao alone in this treacherous palace, fending off the schemes and torment of the emperor's favored concubines, looking after his sister, shouldering the heavy burden of being the crown prince, and never daring to slack off on his studies for a single day, afraid that one wrong move would cost him his title and allow someone else to take his place. "Miss Wei, Wei Lingi," he said softly, "may I call you by your given name?" My eyes trembled at the corners, my vision blurring with tears as I stared at him in confusion. He picked up the medicine bowl again, handed it to me, and smiled gently. "Lingi, stop crying. From now on, you take care of Ningxiao for me, and I will take care of your brother outside the palace walls. Deal?" My eyes lit up with sudden joy, and I exclaimed in surprise, "Really?" He smiled warmly. "Of course," I smiled back, my heart swelling with happiness. Wonderful. He had remembered my name, Wei Lingi. The crown prince came to visit me every single day. Once Ningxiao had recovered, she also came to see me, bringing a bowl of chicken soup with her, looking extremely awkward. "Look at you, you're so skinny. Anyone who sees you would think I've been starving you," she grumbled as she set the soup bowl down in front of me. I looked at the burn marks on her fingers and the back of her hand, blinking in surprise. She had always been the one who feared pain the most. She glared at me irritably. "I treated you so badly, why did you still save me? Weren't you afraid of dying?" I forced down a mouthful of soup, smiling faintly. "Your Royal Highness has always been kind to me." She turned her face away, her gaze stubborn and proud. Hypocrite. Yet for half a month straight, she never missed a single day of bringing me soup. and the taste of the soup slowly improved from being bland at first to becoming truly delicious. Her attitude toward me shifted from disdain and contempt to gradually seeing me as an equal, even willing to open up her heart to me. Once my arm had fully healed, I returned to attending classes with Ningxiao. She no longer brought other maids along to accompany her, nor did she make me carry all the things by myself. Instead, she even helped me with my load. The Crown Prince kept in constant contact with me, asking about Ningxiao's daily life every day. After inquiring about his sister, he would always ask about my well-being, offering a few words of concern. Occasionally, he would bring me news of my younger brother, along with small gifts from outside the palace. No one else knew the truth behind the countless policy essays and treatises that earned Ningxiao praise from the Grand Tutor, but he did. He knew they were all written by me. He often discussed the classics, histories, philosophy, and poetry with me, and every night, I burned the midnight oil, studying diligently without daring to slack off for even a moment, afraid that the hard-won opportunity and future I had fought so hard to gain would slip away if I became complacent. My mother was gone, my father had become someone else's father, my little brother was still young, and I was the only family he had left in this world. I had to be strong for him. Seasons passed. Spring turning to autumn, and 6 years went by in the blink of an eye. I had reached my 15th birthday, the age of womanhood. Ningxiao found me a stunning flowing fairy dress as my coming-of-age gift. The Crown Prince handed me a gift box, smiling softly. Open it and see. Inside was a simple wooden hairpin. Ningxiao scoffed. Brother, you're the Crown Prince of a whole country, how can you give such a shabby gift? Yet I beamed with joy, holding the hairpin tightly. I love it very much. Of course I did. It was hand-carved by Ningyu himself. Its meaning was far beyond any expensive jewel. That night, I gave him the sachet I had embroidered with my own hands, confessing my feelings for him. He froze in surprise, his ears turning bright red. He gently declined my affections, his voice soft but firm. I only see you as a younger sister. I lowered my eyes and nodded, my voice calm. I see. That's all right then. I turned and walked away without hesitation. The next time we met, he avoided my gaze, clearly flustered. I remained perfectly composed, showing no sign of awkwardness, treating him exactly as I always had before. His face stiffened, which made Ningxiao frown in displeasure. Brother, what's wrong with you? Why are you pulling such a long face? Do you think you're Grand Tutor Li? I smiled and chimed in, playing along. Yes, brother, is something troubling you? He stared at me in shock, his brows furrowing. Ningxiao tilted her head up at him, curious. Since when did you start calling him brother? I blinked innocently. He said he sees me as his younger sister. Ningxiao burst into loud laughter. Works for me. I approve of you being his sister. My eyes crinkled with amusement as I smiled. Only Ningyu remained silent, his lips pressed into a tight line, his gaze fixed on me with an unreadable expression in his dark eyes. From that day on, I stopped embroidering personal items like clothes and handkerchiefs for Ningyu. He suffered from a chronic throat ailment and was extremely picky about his food. Every year, I would pick fresh chrysanthemums, dry them carefully, and make chrysanthemum tea for him. Selecting only the finest blossoms to send to the palace, I apprenticed myself to the chief imperial physician, learning numerous recipes for nourishing tonics and remedies. And every day I found ways to cook delicious and healthy meals tailored to his palate. I had spent 6 long years weaving myself into the fabric of his life, integrating myself into every aspect of his days, from his academic essays to the smallest details of his daily routine, caring for him meticulously in both life and study, leaving no corner untouched. And now, I cut all those ties completely, for half a month straight. I treated him with polite formality in public and kept my distance from him in private. Finally, he could not take it any longer. He tried to speak to me in the same warm, familiar tone as before. I smiled and gently interrupted him. Brother, it's getting late today, let's talk another time. I've already told my family that your Royal Highness has recognized me as his younger sister. Please don't be angry with me, I'm all alone in this world with no one to rely on. I just wanted to borrow your prestigious name to gain a little respect. Tomorrow, I will return home to prepare for my marriage. The smile froze on his face, his jaw tightened, his fingers rubbing together unconsciously before clenching into tight fists, the veins on the back of his hands bulging with suppressed emotion. Who are you going to marry? The words came out of his mouth slowly, each syllable sharp and heavy, as if forcing them out had taken immense effort. I smiled brightly, my eyes sparkling with feigned excitement. I don't know yet. The imperial examination results will be announced soon, won't they? My uncle plans to let me choose a husband from among the top scholars of this year's examination. I think that young man from Shenzhen named Ji Yuan is quite excellent. My uncle says that although Ji Yuan comes from a poor family, his writing is outstanding and his character is noble. I wasn't interested at first until I read his essays, I rambled on, growing more and more animated, gesturing with my hands as I spoke, my face splitting into a wide, radiant smile. Ningyu's eyes darkened, the warmth in his gaze vanishing completely, his features turning as cold and frosty as ice. His fingers trembled slightly at his sides. I continued chattering away enthusiastically. You have no idea, brother, how beautiful Ji Yuan's calligraphy is. His essays are magnificent. Reading his writing felt like meeting an old friend in a foreign land. I can't wait to meet him in person. Ningyu's smile turned cold and bitter. Scholars are often ungrateful and fickle-hearted. Lingyi, you've lived in the palace for so long and met so few men, don't be deceived by pretty words on paper. I nodded obediently, feigning innocence. You're absolutely right. It must be because I haven't met enough men. Seeing you every day made me mistakenly think I had fallen in love with you. I put on a look of deep thought and confusion, my cheeks flushing with pretended shyness as I whispered softly, my aunt sent me a portrait of Ji Yuan. He's so handsome, his face is as smooth and fair as jade, and he exudes such a refined scholarly aura. I like him so much, I really can't wait to meet him. The last trace of a smile vanished from Ningyu's lips. His eyes turned cold and dark, filled with an unreadable storm of emotion. I glanced up at the darkening sky, feigning surprise. Oh my goodness. I almost forgot to thank your Royal Highness for taking such good care of me and my brother all these years. Thanks to your kindness, my brother is now studying at the Imperial Academy. Your little sister is truly grateful from the bottom of her heart. I turned to leave, waving at him cheerfully. You should go back quickly. Brother, I need to pack my things too. I have to go to bed early tonight so I can wake up early tomorrow to dress up and put on my makeup. I can't meet Ji Yuan with dark circles under my eyes, that would be terrible. He suddenly reached out and grabbed my wrist, his grip tight and unyielding, his eyes sharp and intense. I looked at him in feigned confusion. Brother, he cut me off sharply, his voice thick with frustration and anger. Don't call me that. I immediately fell silent, looking down at my feet with a timid expression, my voice soft and meek. Your Royal Highness. He stared into my eyes, his long, dark eyelashes fluttering slightly. In the distance, we heard the voices of eunuchs and maids bowing and greeting the Empress. It was as if he had suddenly woken up from a dream. He slowly released his grip on my wrist. I turned around, and my eyes collided with Ningxiao's cold, piercing gaze. She had finally arrived. My gift of jewelry had not been in vain. Back in Ningxiao's palace, she sat on her throne and ordered me to kneel. I knelt down obediently. She picked up a porcelain cup and threw it at me, the edge of the cup grazing my forehead and shattering on the ground beside me. I let my hair come loose, my messy locks framing my face. I saw the flicker of hesitation and guilt in her eyes as her own eyes reddened with anger, and she shouted at me furiously. You got close to me just to become the crown princess, didn't you? I lowered my eyes, my voice calm and steady. I will leave the palace tomorrow. My family has arranged another marriage for me. I wiped the blood from my forehead with the back of my hand. Ningxiao, I do not owe you anything. Whether my feelings for you were real or feigned, I cared for you with all my heart. Tears streamed down her face as she screamed at the top of her lungs, "Get out!" I slowly stood up and picked up my packed luggage. I gave the safety talisman I had embroidered for Ningxiao to the maid who had always been kind to me. Without waiting for anyone to say another word, I walked out of the palace silently, my eyes red with unshed tears. In the drawer of my room, I left the birthday gift I had been preparing for Ningxiao. The late empress had once embroidered a beautiful cloak for her. After the empress's death, the seventh princess had deliberately torn the cloak to shreds out of spite. Countless nights, I had seen Ningxiao hugging the tattered remains of the cloak, sobbing and calling for her mother. The palace employed hundreds of skilled embroiderers, but none of them dared to repair the cloak. It was not because they lacked the skill, it was because they knew Ningxiao's fiery temper and were afraid to take on the task, fearing that if they did not meet her expectations, they would be beaten half to death and thrown out of the palace. Now, I had already repaired half of the cloak, planning to give it to her as a birthday gift. Beneath her tough exterior, Ningxiao was nothing but a soft-hearted coward. She would feel sorry for me. I had spent years plotting and scheming, playing the role she needed me to play, fulfilling her every emotional need without condition. A sheltered little princess who had never known hardship or betrayal, how could she possibly escape the gentle trap I had carefully laid for her? Blood trickled down my forehead, tears glistened in my eyes, my hair was disheveled, and I clutched my luggage tightly. Walking through the busiest palace corridor in a state of utter disarray, allowing everyone to see my sorry state, whispers and gossip followed me everywhere I went. By the time Ningyu rushed over to stop me, I had already walked out of the palace gates. He galloped toward me on horseback, calling my name anxiously. I turned around and gave him a sad, bitter smile before climbing into a simple, unadorned carriage waiting for me by the gate. Everyone in the palace now knew that I had offended the emperor's most beloved daughter, Princess Ningxiao, and had been thrown out of the palace in disgrace. That evening, at the dinner table, my uncle and aunt looked at me with deep regret and sympathy. "You have suffered so much these past few years, child," my aunt said gently. "But now you don't have to worry anymore. From now on, your uncle and I will take good care of you and your brother." My uncle set down his chopsticks. His expression solemn. "Ji Yuan is a man of noble character and integrity. This marriage will not disappoint you. All your mother's dowry will be given to you as your own. Your uncle and I will also prepare a generous dowry for you personally. When your brother grows up and marries, we will take care of all the arrangements for him as well. You have no need to worry about anything." I put down my chopsticks and smiled, my eyes glinting with a sharp, calculating light. "Uncle, would you be willing to place a bet on me? A bet that will change our family's fortune forever, lifting us up from obscurity to soar among the clouds of power and glory." Dressed in coarse cloth and carrying a bundle on my back, I walked out of the Marquis of Pingyuan's mansion, crossed the bustling streets, and knocked on the gate of the palace attendant's residence. When the steward saw me, he rubbed his eyes in disbelief. Once he confirmed it was truly me, he stumbled and ran inside, shouting loudly, "Madam, Master, the eldest young lady is back." The triumphant smile faded from my father's face, the flesh on his cheeks trembling slightly. "What is she doing back here?" My eyes curved with amusement as I glanced at Wei Zhu standing beside him. "Naturally, I've come to fulfill my filial duty to father." During the years I spent in the palace, he had secured a decent family background for Wei Zhu and Wei Yan. He registered the two under the name of the second household branch. Originally, he had intended to pass them off as his legitimate children, But I had someone in the palace send him a dagger as a gift. By the next time I heard news, Wei Zhu and Wei Yan were already recorded as his illegitimate offspring. Yet even as illegitimate children, it did not stop my father from lavishing effort on them. He hired renowned tutors to educate Wei Yan, and engaged a female instructor for Wei Zhu to teach her music, chess, calligraphy, painting, and the demeanor of a noble lady. In just a few short years, Wei Zhu had gained quite a reputation for her talents. After sending Wei Zhu and Wei Yan to live with the second household, father hired several martial arts masters to guard their residence. Fearing that I might harm his precious darlings, several burly old nannies stood guard outside my room, forbidding me from stepping out. Father went out to gather information, and when he returned, his face had turned ashen. He kicked open my door, grabbed me, and threw me into the firewood shed. Now that you're back, don't even think about stepping out of the Wei mansion again. You've offended the princess, and the Marquis's mansion has cast you out. Who else will protect you now? Wei Lingi, the debt you owe Cholian, will settle it slowly, bit by bit. I was placed under strict guard. He did not dare to sneakily kill me, because the family of Censor Yang had sent someone to privately inquire about my marriage. Censor Yang was the salt censor, a position overflowing with wealth, and father was just worrying about not having enough money to prepare Wei Zhu's dowry and secure a bright future for Wei Yan. Among the nannies guarding me, there was one bribed by my aunt. Every midnight, she would sneak me some clean, decent food for Princess Ningxiao's birthday banquet. An invitation was sent to the palace attendant's residence, an unprecedented occurrence. Father was uncertain, his dark eyes sweeping over me. What does the princess mean by this? I lay sprawled on the pile of firewood. I have no idea. He grabbed me, his voice gritted through his teeth. Don't you dare play any tricks on me. His eyes darted about, scheming. He wanted me to take Wei Zhu to the banquet to show her off in front of Ningxiao. Yet he was terrified that I might harm his precious daughter. In the end, he decided to let me go alone. I was seated at the lowliest table in the corner. Throughout the banquet, mocking glances and snide remarks were thrown my way, but I kept my head bowed, saying nothing, accepting it all with a smile. At the head table, the noble young lady, the princess herself, was slowly, tightly clenching her wine cup, her knuckles turning white. When the banquet ended, I rose to leave, but was stopped by Ningxiao's maid. Ningxiao glared at me with a dark face, letting out a cold snort. You have a lot of nerve, daring to steal the cloak my late mother left me, Wei Lingi. What punishment do you think you deserve for this crime? I covered my eyes with my sleeve, knelt down, and kowtowed repeatedly. Your Royal Highness, please calm your anger. Your humble servant is willing to accept any punishment. She was momentarily lost for words, biting her lip as she paced back and forth a few steps. Clearly flustered and exasperated. I sentence you to finish mending this cloak, she declared sharply. I kowtowed again, begging for forgiveness. Embroidery requires a woman's fingers to be delicate and soft. Your humble servant is unable to do it. She angrily grabbed my hand. What do you mean you're unable to do it? There's nothing you can't do. Her words abruptly trailed off, her eyes widening in shock as she stared at my hands, covered in scars and fresh, open wounds. For a moment, she was left completely speechless. Who did this to you? No one, I replied calmly. Your Royal Highness's cloak. Your humble servant truly cannot mend it. Please find another skilled artisan. The palace gates will be locked soon. Your humble servant must take her leave now. I pulled my hand out of her grasp, lowered my head, and limped away. Wei Lingi, she chased after me, her voice trembling. What happened to your leg? It's nothing, I said flatly. I fled as fast as I could, with her hot on my heels, relentless in her pursuit. Ningyu had brought a gift and was on his way to see Ningxiao, when he passed the carriage waiting for me and overheard the mocking conversation between the nanny and the coachman standing by the roadside. That one still thinks she's the eldest young lady, scoffed the nanny, her mother's dead. And the Marquis's mansion has cast her out for offending the princess. How long do you think the master will let her live? Pa, the master's only keeping her alive to make her do the dirty work, washing clothes, chopping firewood, scrubbing chamber pots, feeding her nothing but spoiled leftovers. He'd never actually kill her. Why's that? The coachman asked curiously. Haven't you heard? The master plans to marry her off to Censor Yang as his concubine. Censor Yang is the salt censor. His betrothal gifts alone fill half a boat. The master's going to use that half boat of gifts to pave the way for the second young lady and the third young master. Goodness, Censor Yang is 5 years older than our master. And those two, the second young lady and third young master, they're both the illegitimate children of a mistress. How come they're living a better life than the legitimate eldest young lady? The gift box in Ningyu's hand clattered to the ground. At the same time, Ningxiao froze in her tracks, then scrambled to stand in front of me, shielding me protectively. Is what they're saying true? She asked, her voice choked with emotion. Is it because of me? Lingy, I dodged the hand she reached out to me, knelt down on the ground, and kowtowed to her, begging for mercy. Your Royal Highness, it was my foolish, inappropriate desire to covet your elder brother. I was delusional, not knowing my own place, but I have already realized my mistake. Please, Your Royal Highness, spare me. In a few days, my father will marry me off to Censor Yang as his concubine. I will leave the capital, follow Censor Yang to Yangju to take up his post, and never again be an eyesore to your Royal Highness. Ningxiao let out a cry of protest. How can you marry young Juntong? Every year, several of his concubines die under mysterious circumstances. How can you throw your life away like this? I smiled bitterly, cutting her off mid-sentence. Isn't this what your Royal Highness wants? Ningxiao flew into a rage. Do you think I'm the one who told him to ask for your hand in marriage? Wei Lingy, I regarded you as my dearest friend, my closest confidant, and this is how you see me. I let out a cold, mocking laugh, my voice filled with despair. I am but a lowly blade of grass. How could I ever be friends with a princess? Perhaps your Royal Highness did not personally order young Juntong to propose to me, but everyone in the capital knows that you despise me, that you have cast me aside. You are the princess, the emperor's most beloved daughter. Naturally, countless people are eager to curry favor with you by trampling me under their feet. Ningxiao, have I not treated you well all these years? What crime have I committed? Am I to be tormented like this simply because I loved your elder brother? Do you know? I was supposed to marry Ji Yuan, the top scholar of the imperial examination, but now, everything is ruined. I have nothing left, nothing at all. If you and your elder brother still cannot vent your anger, then kill me. Just do it. Her lips trembled violently as tears streamed down her face. The arrogance she had worn like armor was completely shattered in that moment. She looked just like she had on that thunderstorm night, hiding in my arms, sobbing uncontrollably, saying she missed her mother. Lingy, no, it's not like that. I didn't know. I had no idea any of this was happening, she cried, reaching out to pull me into her arms. I stepped sideways, dodging her touch. It doesn't matter anymore, none of it matters. I lifted my feet and limped toward the carriage, never once glancing at Ningyu, whose face had turned deathly pale, standing not far away. Through the gap in the carriage curtain, I saw Ningxiao run to Ningyu, crying helplessly as she clung to him. Brother, what do we do? What am I supposed to do now? Ningyu closed his eyes. When he opened them again, his gaze slowly turned bloodshot. All the confusion and helplessness in his eyes were gone, replaced by nothing but ice-cold fury. He spoke in a low, calm voice. What to do? It's simple. Those who owe a debt of apology shall apologize. Those who deserve to die, shall die. When my father heard that I had made the princess cry, He slapped me hard across the face the moment I stepped down from the carriage, ordering me to kneel on the ground. He pointed at my nose, screaming insults at the top of his lungs. "You have a lot of gall, daring to offend the princess. I won't have you under my roof any longer. Go with Censor Yang at once." Yang Juntong, his huge belly protruding, smiled lecherously as he reached out to stroke my face. "Brother Wei, don't hit her too hard. Look at this lovely little face of hers." Before his hand could even touch me, an arrow shot out from nowhere, piercing straight through his palm. He collapsed to the ground, howling in agony. "Who did this? Who dares to attack me?" My father scrambled to hide behind him, trembling with fear. I watched them, their faces twisted in terror, and sneered coldly in my heart. It had taken nothing more than sending a portrait of me to the Yang family to stir up Yang Juntong's vile desires for me. He had repeatedly opposed my uncle in the imperial court, time and time again. His death, he did not deserve to be called innocent. Ningyu arrived, leading a squad of imperial guards, to read out the imperial edict. Yang Juntong was found guilty of embezzlement and bribery, stripped of his official position, and arrested for investigation. My father immediately scrambled 3 feet away from Yang Juntong, shouting hysterically, "I'm not his accomplice. I have nothing to do with him, I swear." No one paid him any attention. Ningyu knelt down, holding out his hand to me. "Lingy, I'm here." I closed my eyes briefly. "What are you doing here, Your Royal Highness?" He firmly grasped my wrist, pulling me to my feet. "I'm here to marry you. Will you have me?" "Your Royal Highness must be joking," I replied indifferently. He lifted me onto his horse and galloped straight to the Crown Prince's Eastern Palace. He opened the treasure vault, taking out a list of betrothal gifts and handing it to me. "The day you left the palace, I took a boat to my maternal grandfather's mansion. I brought back the betrothal gifts my late mother had prepared for her future daughter-in-law. I also brought my retired maternal grandfather back with me, so he can attend our wedding and meet his future granddaughter-in-law." Tears streamed down my face silently, my voice choking with emotion. "I thought you only saw me as your younger sister. That you didn't love me." "I do love you," he said urgently, his voice filled with desperation. "I love you so much. I was just too stupid to realize my own heart." He raised his hand, gently wiping away my tears with his knuckles, his voice softening as he coaxed me. "I don't expect you to forgive me right now. I'll spend the rest of my life making amends to you, slowly, day by day. Just don't ignore me, and don't call me brother anymore. Lingy, I can't stand it. I'm so miserable I feel like I'm going to go insane." I took the initiative to wrap my arms around his neck, my eyes clear and sharp, free of any tears now. "Your Royal Highness, I was miserable too. I suffered for so many days. You'll have to make it up to me properly." My marriage to the Crown Prince was officially settled. My father was so angry that he blew his top, storming around the mansion all day, hurling insults at everyone and everything. I sat there cracking sunflower seeds, glancing at him disdainfully. "Father, do you know why you're still safe and sound? Because if you were to get into trouble, I would become the daughter of a convicted criminal." I grabbed a handful of sunflower seed shells from the table and tossed them into his palm. "But you'd better watch your back. One day, you might just die a mysterious, unexplainable death." He trembled violently, grinding his teeth so hard I could hear it. He quieted down for a few days, but was secretly brewing something big, something terrible. On the eve of my wedding to the Crown Prince, he returned to the mansion, with the stunningly beautiful Wei Ju standing by his side. He stared at me with a dark, cold face, his voice hard and unyielding. "You are plain and unremarkable. But your sister, she is a breathtaking beauty, far lovelier than you ever could be. With her accompanying you into the Crown Prince's mansion, she will surely help you secure His Royal Highness's favor. Wei Lingy, this is what you owe your sister. Don't you forget how her mother died. If you refuse, I'll expose everything to the world, we'll all go down together, dragging each other to ruin, your reputation will be destroyed, and you'll never set foot in the Eastern Palace as its crown princess. Now the tables had turned, and he was the one with nothing left to lose, threatening me recklessly. I looked at Wei Zhu with a half-smile. Do you really want to marry him? Her gaze was cold as she spoke each word slowly and deliberately. Your humble sister will do her utmost to help you secure His Royal Highness's favor, ensuring that your grace in the Eastern Palace shall never fade. I nodded. Very well. Then you shall accompany me to the palace tomorrow as my concubine. If she was determined to court death, I would simply grant her wish. Early the next morning, Wei Zhu was nowhere to be seen. It was not until Ningyu arrived at the bridal chamber to fetch me that she finally appeared dressed in a plain white gown, with no trace of makeup on her face. She moved with elegant poise, each step as graceful as a lotus flower dancing on water, like a goddess descending from the 9 heavens to the mortal realm. She stood gently beside me, took my hand, and curtsied to Ningyu with perfect etiquette. The bright red wedding dress I wore served as the perfect foil to her ethereal beauty. No wonder they say a woman looks her most exquisite in white mourning attire. All eyes in the room were fixed on her stunningly beautiful face, all except Ningyu's. His expression was as dark as thunder, his gaze fixed on Wei Zhu as if he were looking at a corpse. Wei Zhu did not miss the flicker of admiration in everyone's eyes. A proud smile curved her lips as she met Ningyu's gaze unflinchingly, attempting to exchange amorous glances and secret signals with him. I sighed silently in my heart. How foolish! Even if she had wanted to upstage me, she should never have chosen my wedding day to the crown prince to do it. This wedding represented not only my honor, but the prestige of the entire royal family. Ningxiao was so enraged that she rushed forward and slapped Wei Zhu hard across the face. Who do you think you're trying to curse? It's the crown prince and crown princess's wedding day, and you dare to wear white? Are you begging for death? Guards! Drag her down and beat her to death with rods. Wei Zhu showed no fear, her eyes turning red as she looked at the crown prince, her gaze filled with pleading. The crown prince frowned slightly. A glimmer of hope sparked in Wei Zhu's eyes only to be shattered when he spoke the next words. Beating her to death would bring bad luck to the wedding. Grant her the privilege of hanging herself instead. Only then did panic finally cross Wei Zhu's face. Ningxiao shouted furiously, "Are you all deaf? What are you waiting for? Drag her away now." My joyous wedding day became Wei Zhu's day of mourning. My father was so distraught that he spat out a mouthful of blood, threatening to expose everything that had happened all those years ago, to drag me down with him in exile to his fiefdom. Because of my selfless act, Ningyu not only received praise and the emperor's guilt-ridden sympathy, but also gained the support of the respected former Grand Tutor. While I was recovering from my illness, all the Grand Tutor's disciples came to the Eastern Palace to visit me, bearing gifts. Ningyu was intelligent. He further cultivated the image of a refined, virtuous heir apparent, and in doing so, won the hearts of the people and the support of countless officials. The 8th prince was the legitimate son of the current empress, and Ningyu's most feared rival for the throne. Ningyu and Ningxiao had suffered countless humiliations at the 8th prince's hands, but now, the tables had turned completely. Ningyu personally changed my dressings, his eyes red with heartache as he looked at my deep, bone-deep wounds. "Lingy, you have suffered so much. How could you be so reckless?" I lay in his arms, gently kissing his cheek. "You are my husband, your Royal Highness. It is only natural that I should scheme and plot for you, even if it means risking my own life. I would do it without hesitation." He pressed his lips together, his expression filled with melancholy, as he tightened his grip on my hand. "Don't say such things. You are my only wife. You have shared my hardships. You deserve to share my joys as well." His eyes flickered with determination, growing stronger with each passing moment. "Lingy, I will make you the most honored woman in the world." My younger brother, who was studying at the Imperial Academy, arrived at the Eastern Palace in a hurry, covered in mud and reeking of fish. In his hand, He held several plump sea bass and carp tied together with straw rope. He paled when he saw me, his voice hoarse as he handed the fish to my nanny. "Nanny, please cook these for my sister. She needs to regain her strength." Looking at him now, a tall, handsome young man, I felt a surge of relief and pride, tears streaming down my face. Ningyu excused himself, leaving the room to just my brother and me. He stood there silently, staring at me. After a long while, he spoke, his voice trembling with emotion. "Sister, I will study hard. I will pass the imperial examination with the highest honors. I will become a marquis, then a prime minister. I will stand above everyone else. I will be your pillar of support. I will protect you. I promise you. Can you please take better care of yourself? Can you learn to love yourself? Stop hurting yourself like this. If my future and my success require you to gamble with your own body and life, then I don't want it. I would rather die right now. I would rather go to mother. You can pretend I never existed. The mask I had worn for so many years, the schemes and manipulations I had mastered, all of it crumbled into dust in front of him when I was in the palace. I could only see him once a year. Every time we met, he would stand there silently, staring at me without blinking, before finally whispering softly, "Sister, you've lost weight. You need to eat more." The letters he wrote to me filled an entire chest. Every single letter ended with the same sentence, "Sister, please eat well." I stroked his face, tears streaming down my cheeks. "Don't cry, I understand now." He looked at me stubbornly. "If you lie to me, I will stop studying, sister. Believe me, even if you weren't the crown princess, even if we had nothing left, even if we were poor, you would still have me, and I would still have you. I would still work hard, I would still study, I would still take care of you." His eyes turned red as he hastily wiped away his tears with the back of his hand. "I don't want this kind of success that costs you your life. I want you to be healthy. I want you to live a long, long life. Sister, you are all I have left in this world." I patted his head, smiling at him warmly. "I won't do it anymore. I promise I'll never hurt myself again." Of course, it was a lie. I had chosen a path of power and ambition, a path of unbridled greed. There was no turning back, and I had no desire to turn back. I lived to the age of 89. My life was a magnificent, turbulent epic. As my brother had promised, he studied relentlessly. He went from being the top scholar of the imperial examination to becoming a marquis, then a prime minister. Until he stood above everyone else in the empire, it was a long, arduous path. The innocence faded from his young eyes, replaced by a sharp, ruthless determination. He said to me once, "Sister, I will hold you up. I will support you forever." The highest place, the pinnacle of power. From crown princess, to empress dowager. The only thing that never changed was Ningyu. He loved me with the same devotion for 10 years, 20 years, a lifetime. While I loved him with nothing but schemes and calculations in my heart, he died before me. I had always thought I did not love him. But when this man was truly about to leave my life forever, I was overcome with panic. He stroked my eyebrows and eyes, looking at me with the same gentle affection as always. He placed the imperial jade seal, the power I had coveted for half my life, into my palm. In his final edict, he granted me the right to rule the empire in my own name as emperor regnant. He brushed a strand of loose hair behind my ear, just like he had done on our wedding night, when he had tremblingly removed my hairpins and ornaments, nervous yet tender. "Lingy, I have always loved the way you look when you are filled with ambition and schemes. I knew all along that you were pretending to be docile and obedient. From the very first time I read your essays and your political treatises, I knew about your grand aspirations. Go now, do what you have always wanted to do. You don't have to hide it from me anymore. I have always known." Tears poured down my face like a flood. He wiped them away, smiling at me like a child. "Lingy, I love you so much, but you are so annoying. You always force me to read endless piles of memorials. I don't even have time to share a single meal with you. Do you know how long it has been since we last sat down and had a proper meal together?" I sobbed uncontrollably, unable to speak. He murmured to himself, as if lost in thought, "You must not know. It has been 33 days. He closed his eyes with a bitter smile, and his hand fell limply to his side. I let out a heart-wrenching scream.
A wave of overwhelming grief crashed over me, and I vomited blood uncontrollably. I had always grown up losing the people I loved. My mother's death taught me how to hate. Ningyu's death taught me how to love. I died one night while reviewing memorials. I had devoted half my life, heart and soul, to this land. Together with him, we spent our entire lives governing this empire. My children threw themselves into my arms. They were all good, nothing like the twisted, cold-hearted girl I had been in my youth. They took after Ningyu, with kindness deep in their hearts. Ningyu had raised them so well. My soul drifted above, watching as my son, supported by my brother, followed the path that Ningyu and I had trodden in our lifetimes. He asked my brother, what was mother like when she was young? My brother paused, as if lost in memory, then smiled softly and said, your nanny told me that when your mother was young, she loved to cling to your maternal grandmother and act coquettishly. She would climb trees to dig out bird eggs. And once she dropped one on the little daughter of the censor, scaring the poor girl into tears. Your grandmother chased her all over the courtyard with a fire poker, while she ran screaming for her mother. He paused again, his expression clouded with melancholy. It's a pity. After that, I never got to see that lively, vibrant sister of mine ever again.